So I've got a different video for you today. It's an indoor video, still linked to the Cotswolds and Gloucestershire, but something slightly different. So I was lucky enough to come across these three mugs the other day. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I like to collect treasures and interesting things. And I came upon these three stoneware mugs. This one's a double-handed love mug, and then you've got two single-handed mugs. This one hides a little frog inside. So I was quite interested by these three mugs, and I started to do some research. I could just see on the bottom of them that there was an S and a squiggle. But with the power of the internet these days, it's quite easy, well, with some research, to actually find out the maker of these. And so I was actually able to trace who these were made by, and it revealed quite a fascinating journey. So the results came up as a potter by the name of Peter Curell Brown. Now, Peter Curell Brown is an interesting character. He was born in 1936 in Colchester, Essex. He was an anti-nuclear campaigner to begin with, and he, in 1960, he blocked, with other protesters, the entrance to the Atomic Energy Research Establishment in Fulness, for which he was arrested. And he was also one of the what was known as the Eskimo Navy. They boarded the Polaris submarines in kayaks. So he was quite a protagonist, I suppose, quite anti-nuclear and a very strong protester and campaigner. He also, in 1965, wrote the cult classic Small Creeps Day. If you've not read that book, it's an extremely interesting book. And for somebody that's not written anything before, it was quite a renowned book, and it still is a cult classic. Anyway, in 1963, he moved to Gloucestershire, to a small village called Cam. And then in 1966, he set up his own little pottery. Now, the name of his pottery was called Snake Pottery. So hence the sign on the bottom is a small S with a snake. And on some of the mugs, you can actually see his scraped in his signatures, PCB. So I know that they can be traced direct back to Peter Curell Brown. But they are really early pieces of his work. For instance, this was a commemorative mug to a couple he knew, and this was produced in 1972, so only 4 years after he set up his pottery. So he is well known for this slipware design, red clay pottery, which he dug out of his own garden, and then he has this blue, luxurious blue inside to the mugs. This one is supposed to be a pagan god, and there are later editions where he's moulded the arms and the face on it, but this one he's just inscribed it into the glaze with just the profile of the face. Pagan god, and again, beautiful blue in a lovely slipware design. This one is probably the most interesting one. On the front, it's got Hetty Pegler's Tump. Now, if you're familiar with Gloucestershire, you'll know that Hetty Pegler's Tump is a It's an old burial site. So an Iron Age, pre-Iron Age burial site. And Hetty Pegler was the woman that owned the land and allowed the excavation of the site. But it's got his well-known frog on the inside. He sometimes will put two frogs, but this one's just got the one. So, fascinating story of Peter Curell Brown, activist, anti-nuclear campaigner, potter, famous author, all in the 1960s. Fascinating life.